Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Double Edge Swing. And because of my cheap budget, I had to bring back Styranos once again. Because, well, you know, George Clooney won't return my calls, so... or I don't think he knows anything about video games. Anyway, moving on. Styranos, do you have anything to say on this lovely day?
You picked George Clooney over me?
But we can talk about this later. Anywho, today's topic I had in mind... Okay, hold on. Today's topic I had in mind is...
You know what?
Oh no, I got him all riled up.
The old sword by yourself.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and talk with the voices in my head. So, voices in my head, what's the topic today? Character customization! Okay, he wasn't speaking German for once. Okay, Styranos, you want... Come on, man. Come on, please. I promise I'll be... I'll promise I'll be kind. Yes! And, how necessary, do you think it really is? Because you know, there's some games I was thinking, hey, let's go ahead and get the match going while we're at it. There were some games I was thinking where having to customize your character actually gets kind of distracting, if you ask me.
You need to pick. I'm waiting on you.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You need to customize your character and pick, boy.
Yeah. Pick. What am I not doing right? Oh, okay. There we go. There we go. It's still not doing it.
Oh, is it really? Oh, I think I know. Okay.
Oh, no, there we go. Okay,
there
I was in the menu. Anywho, okay, so let me go ahead and clarify a bit. Character customization is something, for the longest time, that I've personally had, a blast with. Character customization was a selling point for me back in the day. Like in Elder Scrolls 3, Fable, even though you could only play as a male, and then Fable 2, you could play as both. And then there was a game, then came to mind Mass Effect. Again, I'm talking about Mass Effect. And
we should just have a whole series based on the Mass Effect franchise.
Anyway, yeah, totally. One of these days, we'll get to there. But I'm just using it as an example of what is on my mind about it. I couldn't immerse myself into the character, because usually in some games you want to create someone entirely different, right? Or yourself. But in Mass Effect, where you're a named character, and this is just, there's many games that kind of do this thing, you have a last name and it's spoken, and I just could not, I saw no point in character customization, so I ended up using the stock Shepard.
Really?
Oh yeah. And I don't know, I mean, I'm not saying that that's how it is for everybody, but I've actually talked to a number of people that said, yeah, I just use the stock Shepard or the stock Jane Shepard, female, and of course her canon look is from 3 onward, ironically. But
yeah.
Have you ever felt that way about any game ever?
Any game ever? I would say probably. I'd have to think about which ones I've felt, but for the most part, if it gives me customization, I take advantage over it, even if it just be a micro effect, a micro customization. So I won't be the one to go ahead and create super... if I have to create one character like Mass Effect, I will create myself. Or someone close to me, or someone that I picture would be me in that universe with that story arc.
Aww.
But I don't, I've never been one to play as the opposite gender in a game.
I've done it.
I bind myself emotionally to my characters typically.
Yeah. And
so I've never been a woman before. So
yeah,
I really wouldn't know how she would feel in Mass Effect. So I typically don't pick her, only because I really don't know how she would feel.
That's exactly it. That's what I mean. Like, when it came to Shepard for me personally, because there is more or less an iconic stock Shepard, I could feel more attached to playing as that Shepard as opposed to trying to play as myself or someone I know close in my heart. And it would just be a little bit more meaningful to me. But if it's in a game like... and the same for... the same does not go for Dragon Age Inquisition, because there's so much more customization in that game. Last names notwithstanding. And in a game where there's like no spoken dialogue especially, I just go nuts. I go as elaborate as I possibly can, making the character is exactly my sentiment on that.
So how is Mass Effect for you different than Dragon Age, because there is a great deal of customization that goes into Mass Effect.
Well, I will say Dragon Age 2 was kind of similar for Mass Effect, because in Dragon Age 2, you're just Hawk, no matter what. You can be a male or female Hawk, but there is kind of a default canon look for the Hawk. And I tried making my own custom Hawk, and I don't know. Like, Dragon Age 2 is one of my favorite games, and sometimes I'll make a custom Hawk, but I always connect more with the already existing, this is the Hawk we designed for you, as horrible as the beard looks. But,
Really?
how does it differ from other games? Well, in Dragon Age 1, again, you have your own last name, but it's never spoken. You pick from 6 different archetypes, which is like a mage or elven mage, or you could be a human noble or a dwarf commoner or dwarf noble, etc., etc. I'm sure you've played the game before, have you?
Is it the fact that there's a last name customization that makes it connecting for you?
Mostly if it's like, if they speak the character by name, that kind of almost does it in for me right there. Because I'm not playing as myself or the character I had in mind, I'm playing as Hawk or Shepard. In Dragon Age Inquisition, they kind of hardly spoke the last name. It was a thing, you could see it written, but it was... it still felt
You're
like...
sensitive. So you're sensitive to the last name, because in those games, you can change the first name, but it's the last name.
If it's spoken, yes. Like in Deus Ex, you're JC Denton, right? There is customization in the first one, like you could be albino JC, but you're always JC, and I have absolutely no other character I have in mind other than he's a government type, so I already have in mind exactly how I'm going to play as him. And I could be just nitpicking here, but I don't know, there was just always something about... I feel like I'm losing you a bit. Like in any Elder Scrolls game, it is so much easier for me to just make a character that is mine, that is from scratch, that, you know, especially because they have no voice except whenever they go Fus Ro Dah or whatever. And
everyone has the same voice.
Yeah. Ironically, in Fable, even the first one, where you only play as a man and you have this preset look, it's very easy for me, and even a family and all that defines you. It's very much easier for me to make this kind of thing I had in mind that's not what the game almost wants you to be. If that makes any sense. Like, I'm sorry if I keep asking this. You ever played Fable?
Yes, Fable 2, actually.
Yeah, in Fable 3, they call you, like, the prince or princess. And that, well, again, because you're, even though that's not the last name, like you were saying, I will agree to that. The last name kind of does it for me, I'll admit that. But, when, in Fable 3, it was the same thing. You are the prince or princess. They expect you to act like a prince or princess, even though you're leading this, like, global revolution and all that and whatnot. And I couldn't feel the need to, especially, I mean, I guess that was more, they restricted, how the quests go, and you can't really play as a rogue or anything in that game. So that's probably a bad example. I'm trying to pull a good example out, and, do you have any thoughts? Oh, I clicked out of the game again. Do you have any thoughts on maybe what I'm talking about at all?
In terms of customization, I think you and I actually have very differing opinions then.
Yeah, I thought maybe so. I mean, like, I've discussed this with other people before, and they either have no clue what I'm talking about, or I've actually gotten people that say, yeah, I kind of can't play as my own character, and it usually kills the game for them. Like, I don't know anybody else that plays Dragon Age 2 for fun, which is sad, because I really like that game. I really like that game. I connect to the character in Dragon Age 2 because I felt the story was more personal, and I want to see I want to see Hawk succeed. Like, I'll still make my Hawk, but I can't think of him as anything else other than Hawk. This guy who will do anything to protect his family. And I thought that was a more personal story, which is why I like it more than 1 and 3. But at the same time, that makes it easier for me to customize characters in 1 or 3 because it's not so much about the character and the personal need to protect the family. I think it goes back to that Chosen One thing we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the Chosen One and the only Chosen One.
Very different concepts there.
Yeah.
Well, no, see, for me, customization, I mean, like, okay, so for XCOM, you can literally customize everybody.
Yeah, that is a good
and to
example.
some extent, it's fun, but if I lose my characters, there's no point in me customizing. So part of the reason why I am totally okay with respawning whenever one of my characters dies is because I've invested into my characters.
Whenever you Groundhog Day it. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly, because I've invested in that character. But now, past that, I could let them go. I mean, I don't really mind. Oh, come on, really?
Oh!
I went by default. So for XCOM 2, I mean, that's a little different, because that's those, like, I don't have a personal stake in any one of their lives. But now, Shepard is me in another universe. So for me, whenever they have a last name or anything like that that is already pre-designed, I take that as the story arc saying this is me in an alternate universe. So in the alternate universe, my name is Shepard. So I may go for Sturvy Shepard. I may go for Sturvano Shepard. I may go for Joe Schmo Shepard.
Joe Schmo.
But
I want to see that.
Right, but I connect to the character itself. So I think part of it is that. So I always have to play as a male. I mean, that's just because I'm a guy and I only understand what it means to be a guy. Well,
yeah,
sometimes I even debate that. But but in terms of customization, I mean, for me, it's kind of, I guess, one of those things where if the story is so in-depth that the character customization is not even really a necessity, then it won't connect with me. Only because, like XCOM, the characters are not the point of the story.
Nope.
So it's like, oh, okay, I can customize, I guess.
But
That's
you're
cool.
still invested in the survival of those characters.
Right. But now for Mass Effect or for Fable, it's like, well, I actually am this character. So it is kind of important that there's something about him that I would agree with. It's like, oh, I'm not going to wear that hat. I would never wear that hat in a million years. No matter what universe I'm part of, I would not wear that hat.
Yeah.
Or, at the very end of Fable 2, when you buy the castle, you have the option to go down a secret passageway and find a potion. Well, the potion gives you a sex change. So I get to there, I'm like, that's a great potion, but I don't really want to drink it. Thanks, bro.
They had something like that in Fable 2, I think.
No, that's what I'm saying. Fable 2 has that.
Oh, gee, sorry. I missed, that went right by my head.
Yeah, so at the end of Fable 2, that's what you got. And I'm like, no thanks. I am too connected to my character. I have too much of the ownership of this town to be sacrificing it for the success of a potion. But, I mean, that's my take. I just kind of, if it gives me customization, I'll pretty much use it if I'm the main character, and if I actually do have a say in the story itself, I'll take it, and it will be me. Yeah, but otherwise, I just kind of let it slide.
Maybe I'm looking at it all wrong. When you describe it like that, it's like, because I guess I'm just so used to a certain game. Like, I grew up with KOTOR and all that, and that was another one of those examples of, because back in the day, that was you just picked from preset heads, and as customization got better, that's what I looked forward to. Mm-hmm. So if it doesn't let me customize every single little thing in the game, I guess that's kind of what gets me all nitpicky. Yeah, so maybe I'm just looking at it all wrong. Like, maybe that's another thread off this topic to go on. Should every game like that could get away with customization, should it have it? Or do you think it's easier to fall in love with a preset hero? If it's a good hero, obviously. Or heroine.
I mean, that's a great question. And I would say not every game should be customizable. And in fact, some games I don't think should be customizable. I mean, meaning some games that have been made that are customizable in and of themselves.
Yeah. Was that me or you?
That was me.
Okay. I think I was hearing some examples of this game should have customization, and I found myself either agreeing or disagreeing. I'm trying to think of some examples, like what's a good one? Believe it or not, I heard Tomb Raider should have customization. And I'm like, that's Laura.
I would disagree.
That's Laura
that's
Croft,
that's
man.
a perfect example. I would disagree because the character has been around forever, in a sense.
Yeah,
and everybody knows who she is.
Yeah, and Devil May Cry is another one I was told should have character customization, and I was like,
why?
Right, they're such iconic characters. I mean, look what happened when they remade Dante. It wasn't the most well received thing ever. And even the new Lara Croft wasn't the most well received ever. I mean,
no, and even she had a good reboot. Like this was kind of like before she became Tomb Raider.
Yeah, good game.
This was like her precursor role.
Yeah, it's still a great game, but
yeah.
And that's not the point. Is whether they were a good character in said prequel or in said reboot, like Dante and all that.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you should suddenly start having character customization. Here's one that I'm personally curious about. Do you think they should make a Resident Evil game where you can customize your own character?
Only if the Resident Evil character is newly introduced and has not been part of the universe before.
Yeah, I'm not saying like you should customize Chris Redfield. Obviously, I think they should tone down his steroid muscles a bit. But again, that goes back to what they're doing with characters as they progress in each game. But you're right. I would say you're right. Resident Evil is not necessarily a game that needs customization, as long as it's not an existing character. And basically, if it's an already existing character, well, just keep that character and not necessarily introduce a character you can all of a sudden customize. I'm trying to think. There was a game where you played as a preset character, and then all of a sudden in the second game you had to create your own character. I'm trying to remember what that was. It was a much older game.
Yeah.
Do you think you remember it?
No. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
There are so many good games, so many old games, and so many good old games that can't narrow it down with just that kind of a thought. Well, it would be like you getting a first-person game. Oh, dang it! I almost thought of one too, where you start as first person, but then you can go second person.
Oh yeah.
And then third person was added as well. So it's like, okay, so now you do need to know what you look like. So let's customize you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, some games I think like Resident Evil is actually a good example. The characters drive the story.
Yeah.
And the story, in return, drives the characters. So that actually makes sense for the characters you're following, So it's like, okay, now you can customize them. That is something totally different. You don't need to customize something that is part of the story itself. It would be like saying, okay, at the end of Mass Effect, would you like to kill everybody and then, or maybe manipulate yourself.
Yeah, hold on. That brings up something to mind. I remember when Mass Effect 2 was being, touted as it was going to come out, and they were saying they were going to kill off Shepard. I think, that's goes back to one of those examples where I was like, oh my god, they're going to kill this character that I got to know forever, even a customized version. I was like, come on, man. and that actually, I wasn't against the idea of introducing a new character. I was just almost bummed out that they were gonna just kill off the character that you had.
Yeah, they were gonna kill your boy.
Yeah, and well, who cares? Mass Effect 3 still kind of made all your decisions a moot point.
Mass Effect 3 made you go be like, oh, you know what? I regret ever being.
Yeah, but once again, we'll get back to the Mass Effect speech another day. That might very well be just my next topic. Why not? Appropriately so, as the new game comes out. But back to the thing, I'm sorry, as you were saying, you were talking about...
so I think customization, it's like, okay, so for Skyrim or any of the Elder Scrolls, the idea is you are in that universe. That universe revolves around you. There is a story, but it is not driven by you, nor does it really, quote-unquote, affect you. Whether or not you do it as a paragon or a renegade, as a verbiage analysis, it doesn't matter. It's still going to end pretty much the exact same way.
Yeah.
So the story is set in stone, and the idea is you look different while you're partaking in it. But basically, it's already designed for you.
Yeah, that's why I can't really enjoy... I actually don't really enjoy the main storyline Back to Fallout 4. I enjoy doing anything but the main storyline, because the main storyline is so... it deals with your family and all that. And this is the thing that happens no matter what. And you do get choices and all that. But I feel more like I'm connecting with the character when I'm doing something absolutely random and of my own free will.
Right. that's where I think customization style games have their place. But then if you start adding it to something like Resident Evil, since that is our topic, our other game of choice
the
right
game
now.
of choice.
Right, if you add it to Resident Evil as part of the canon, like, oh yeah, this is the new and improved so and so, or this is like, all right, now is so and so really a guy or is he really a girl? You know, then it's kind of pointless because it was never meant to be used that way, and it takes focus away from the story.
Oh, got one.
Got
Nice. I had another. I had one more thing to bring up to mind. Do you think, like, character customization, like, because there was a lot of people saying that when Skyrim came out, there wasn't enough customization, or no matter how much effort you put into it, it just wouldn't look that good anyway. Anyway, do you think having the more options, like, despite limitations, is just the thing to go for, or I don't know how to exactly word that. I guess that's my question. Like, is it paramount to just have the most options you could possibly have, or just keep it within the reasons of boundary? Like in Morrow, I was kind of on the opposite side. I liked the customization in Skyrim because it fit with what you would naturally see in the game. You know, the hairstyles and all that.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on the game. There again, Skyrim, you, much like Fable, you actually are living your life there.
Yeah.
So ultimate customization makes sense. I mean, you want to wear boots that fit your style. You want to do this and do that, you know, and that makes sense.
I want to have 40 beers and throw up on the tavern floor. That's no one else's business.
Exactly. Exactly. That's your prerogative. Now, that game is designed to almost be like an alternate reality simulator. Well, we're just going to call it an alt sim. So an alt sim is designed to give you, as a normal Joe Schmo, the idea that you could actually live and breathe and work and have your being in another universe. And that is the premise, and that is the concept. The story in itself is like the adventure that just happens to befall you while you're in this alternate universe.
Yeah,
that would make sense then for a certain level of quote-unquote ultimate customization for your alt sim. But not very many games actually fit that criteria.
Yeah, there's a couple of games where, and this is kind of like when they give you absolutely no information on the game, or I mean on the player character. Like, you don't even know what they look like. It might be a first-person view or whatnot. Like, I'm going to give two examples of kind of a slightly different, but two examples of that field. One, like, remember when I was talking about Ace Combat 4? Or, yeah. I guess Ace Combat 0, even for that matter. You are an unnamed pilot in both one. You get a code name. And I'm not saying it was easy to project myself as it, but you could, you know what I'm saying? And it just, it's not one of those things that jiggled my jammies to project myself as Mobius one, the all-knowing pilot. But it's one of those examples where it's like the less you know, the more you could. And a great example, also kind of one of those deconstructive ones was, okay, so in Undertale, and I'm only talking about this on my channel because the full Let's Play is out now. I'll have a little spoiler alert annotation. Spoiler alert! Anyway, you play as this little kid, right, throughout the whole game of Undertale.
Right.
And it asks you, what's your name? And it turns out you never were the kid. You were an entity controlling the kid the whole time. And the kid's real name is Frisk. And of course, gender and all that and ethnicity is still not disclosed, but once again, that's up to your imagination. The character was made to be gender neutral to project yourself up until that point. And the reason Toby Fox said he did that, I looked this up after I beat the game, was so you could better find closure after it was all said and done. So you didn't want to see more of your own story. Your own story was done. You helped out someone else with their story. And I thought that was genius. And I wouldn't say let's have every single game do that, but to find
that's part of the story. And that was something obviously that he put some great deal of thought into, which made it partly artistic and beautiful.
To have that amount of originality in this day and age, in 2015 was when the game came out, no less, gave me a lot of hope that maybe originality isn't dead when it comes to designing preset characters or the ability to make a customizable character something truly special and not just the avatar with which to play out the already predetermined predestinated story for you.
Oh yeah, well we could have a whole conversation about that because that's something totally different, and that's something I'm actually quite invested in. But that's a secret project anyway, so that's something I can't talk about.
Oh, sure. I will go ahead and, before I close out here, I do have one last question. What would you say is the best customization you've seen in a video game? Like, it was not just graphics or, let's say, just at the time and date the game came out, what was some of the, like, wow, they really nailed the ability to make your own character in this game?
I would actually say Fable 2, because that gave you a good balance of everything without overloading you.
Yeah.
And everything they gave you was designed to help create your character into something that you would actually be proud to be in yourself. Like, you could cosplay your own Fable 2 character and be proud of it.
I actually asked Norm that the other day. Can you cosplay as your own character? And she's like, that's a good question. I will say I was disappointed in Fable 2 on one thing only. I still enjoyed the game otherwise. Was that you couldn't bring your customized character as the second player. That really kind of stuck with me. You only got to play as like some kind of henchman that was preset. And I was like, man, can you imagine if you could have both your customized characters with all your karma choices, etc., get in one of the players' worlds? That would have been so cool. And that was almost.
I can understand why it wasn't possible, and that wasn't so much. That wasn't so much.
Yeah, that was more or less Peter
was.
Molyneux's fault because he likes to overhype his games and say things that are in it that don't end up in it.
Well, in that case, I think that's more of like, okay, that's a lot of data that has to be transferred from one device to another, or put into a open server, or what have you. So
right.
I could see that being slightly, or not even necessarily. Like, you could have it on multiple accounts, same computer, or same device. But it does add complexity. There is a game that I play that I might do along those lines. It's called I might play it, but it does have a lot of music I would have to crop out.
Oh, sure.
It's called Rebel Galaxy, and you are basically a space pirate, so to speak. You're not a pirate, but it's futuristic. You have a boat. It's cool.
I think I've heard of that game. I keep thinking there's like 2 or 3 Rebel Galaxy games, and they're all different. But like you gotta remember which one's which.
Right. Well, there's only one in this case, but the issue is one of the biggest critiques was there's no multiplayer. Like, everyone wanted to be able to bring their customized starship into an arena and just do battle, even if it would be a couple of friends. But the game's infrastructure doesn't allow it to share that kind of information readily, and then you'd have to have a server to get everything to work, and blah 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 blah. So they just opted not to have it at all.
Yeah, like speaking of servers, I never could connect ever with an MMO created character, especially the Old Republic. What did in the Old Republic for me, I can enjoy it because the game kind of expects you to play the game solo, ironically. But when you're in a room full of people, you realize A, how limited the customization options are, or B, that everyone had the same idea. And yeah, there's the story, but then you realize there's exactly like 40,000 people going through the exact same storyline as me. And there's only like 3 choices, so you really, in any MMO, you really never get the sense that the character is in your own. I don't know about you. I don't know if you've ever played any decent MMOs, but that's my opinion on it.
That is definitely a topic in and of itself, because that is a whole nother creature.
Yeah. Back to the thing you said about Fable 2. It's a wonder how they're able to get all that data onto the same screen at once with everybody's created character. Maybe that's why the customization's so limited when you think about it after a while.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I've talked long enough. I think maybe you've changed one of my viewpoints. The whole
snap, yo!
That was a good one. I think you've definitely maybe talked some sense into me on being able to enjoy the whole last name spiel a little bit more. I'm gonna probably give Dragon Age 2 and Mass Effect another run. Well, maybe not Mass Effect, but
no, don't give Mass Effect another run.
Yeah. Well, Fable 2, Dragon Age 2 definitely. That is still one of my favorite games.
And you know what? You could give Mass Effect a run. Give Mass Effect 1 and 2 a run, and then that's it.
I don't know, man. Mass Effect 3 kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and it's still left a bad when you think about it, it's like, why am I doing this? It's just going to end all in the end.
Me personally, I can play first 2 ones, and it's a good time, and I play it with my wife. It's a fun time to hang out together. But
nice.
as soon as we get to 3, we're both like, all right, that's it, we're done. Thank you. Moving on.
And, you mentioning that actually brings up another topic I have in mind, but we'll get to that later because I'm running almost 30 minutes here on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. Thank you guys. Oh, dang it, I dropped the mouse. Thank you guys all so much for watching. This has been Cam and Steranos with Double Edge, where we took our swords and we cleaved the subject in half, and we had a butcher.
That doesn't mean anything except that we had swords and we sliced papers in half.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say like venison, and then you can have the bad half if you want.
No,